Hey everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how I made 2 cards and 2 holiday tags using a number of our products. The beginning of this video is going to be very stamp and labor heavy as we're going to be doing a lot of layering stamping with our strategic alignment stamps, of which the patent is still pending at this moment. So let's get started. I am stamping our Holly Bits 4x6 set, and I'm using our 6x7 inch grip mat, which I placed inside my MISTI tool, and I stamped the first layer of the holly leaves first in our raw sea glass. And then I stamped the 2 layers of the berries using our cherry and lipstick red inks. And then for the second and last holly leaf layer, I use our Vineyard inks. So there's 4 layers, and when you stamp all 4 layers, you get these 4 stamped images. The coordinating die is 1 die, which will cut out all 4 images in one single shot, making it easy to mass produce. So there's a theme for today's video. I will be stamping several of our strategic layering stamps and using the coordinating die to create all these little bits, and then we're going to create all 4 projects by the end of this video using all of those bits. So for what you see on screen, I'm using our Berry Bits stamp. For that first layer, I stamped with our raw sea glass, and then I actually just outlined the strategic bars and squares with a black marker or pen so that I can easily see them through the next few layers. And I'm just using the same inks that I use for the Holly Bits for our Berry Bits so that we have some cohesion in our group of projects today. So for our Berry Bits, you had 2 layers for the foliage, 2 layers for the berries, and then you have 1 layer for the branches. These stamps come from our Berry Bits 6x8 inch photopolymer set, and there are 5 sprigs that are ready to be cut out. So next up is our winter foliage set. This is also a 6x8 inch strategic layering set with the bars and squares that are patent pending. The stamp up top is the first layer of the leaves and sprigs, and then the stamp on the lower portion of the set is the second layer. So I'm going to stamp the first layer in our raw sea glass, and then I'm going to take that stamp off, position the second stamp, and stamp this in our Vineyard ink. I did stamp this a few times in the Vineyard ink. You could also just use a darker green ink, but for me, I didn't feel like switching out the inks. So for the third stamp, this is just going to add some branches to the sprigs on the left side of my panel. So this is what the completed stamped image looks like. Next up is our pine cone set. This is a 6x6 inch photopolymer set with 3 layers of pine cones and then 4 sentiments. And I'm using our Cocoa Collection layering inks. I'm starting off with the last darkest layer because this stamp is pretty stained. So I'm worried that I won't be able to see through the stamps after I stamp the first 2 layers. So I did start with the third darkest layer first, and I stamped that in our Aspen Cocoa ink. Then I took that stamp off, went back to layer 1 and used our warm hazelnut ink for layer 1, and then found topaz for layer 2. And this is what our pine cones look like. We have coordinating dies for all of the sets that you saw me use so far in this video. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut all the pieces at once. That's why I stamped everything at once, so that I could die cut everything at once. So now we have all of these beautiful festive sprigs and foliage bits that we're going to use for our card. But before we begin any assembly, I'm going to die cut our sentiments. The happy is from our Bold General Greetings dies. And then I'm also going to use the Many Sentiments holiday dies as well. This collection has 2 larger dies. The first die has all these scripty words on it, and then the second die is for all these shadow die cuts, and each large die is just 1 die, and it'll cut out everything at once. For the first card, I'm just using the holidays die and the shadow die cut, and then I just assembled and glued together the happy sentiment with several of the sprigs. This first card is going to be a slimline card, so I used one of the dies from our pierced slimline nested dies, and I created a black panel, and this one is slightly smaller. I created this one off off screen because I found that I wanted a smaller size black panel behind my happy sentiment. So I glued down the happy sentiment with all the bits glued together. I glued down the holiday sentiment and then added some additional bits. And I added this onto a candy cane striped background, which I was not a fan of. So I pulled that black panel apart and then I created a separate background out of white cardstock, which I blended raw sea glass around the edges, trimmed that down a little bit, and then added that against a white panel. And I'm just so much happier with the way the card is turning out here because the candy cane background was too busy. So I took off the holiday die cut and I put that onto the shadow die, added some bling, and the first card is done. Now I'm going to create the Merry sentiment for my second card out of all of these word dies. And these dies come from a combination of our bold amazing and bold general greeting dies. So I just die cut a bunch of the words until I was able to spell out the word Merry. I took the Christmas sentiment and the shadow die cut, glued those together. Then I white heat embossed our modern plaid stamp onto white cardstock, and I just used a Baron tool and white embossing powder to get this heat emboss panel done. Next, I took the letters from our Merry sentiment, placed them onto our 7x9" grip mat, and then added some amber citrine ink blending towards the bottom portions of the letters. And then I also took our plaid embossed background panel and I added some raw sea glass ink blending to the top and bottom edges. Once I finished blending, I trimmed off about 1/8 of an inch on each edge, and then I glued that panel onto an A2 horizontal base. Next, I cut out this black strip of cardstock, glued that down onto the plaid background. Then I assembled my letters and then I started gluing all the letters down, starting with the center, and then I worked my way out towards the left and right. Then I glued down my Christmas sentiment, and then I started assembling my little bits on and behind that black panel. I wanted to make sure I got some of the bits behind the panel as well as in front of the panel as well, so that we have some interest going on. So in addition to the little bits, I added our beautiful pine cones as well. And then lastly, I added some of our rhinestones to finish off this project. I will be listing all of the supplies that I use in the description box below. So if you're curious about anything that I use, be sure to check out the YouTube description box. So these two cards look really great together, but we're not done yet. I'm going to create 2 tags using our holiday tag dies. I die cut the tags onto white cardstock, and then the other 2 dies that you saw earlier, the rectangular die and then the one die that cuts out the little circles, I cut those out of black cardstock. Once everything was die cut, I started assembling my 2 tags, and I know that I wanted that black rectangular die cut behind my sentiments to kind of give my entire project some continuity and some harmony. So I had to add some stark blackness behind my sentiments so that these tags matched the 2 cards that I made. So once I've assembled everything, I glued everything down, and then I added some plaid ribbon. I double knotted the ribbon because sometimes they come off, so I made sure that the ribbons were nice and secure. And then lastly, I added some of our rhinestones. I use the same rhinestones for all the projects today. And now my 2 tags are complete. I hope you guys enjoyed my suite of projects today. I think they all look really nice together. You can use these individually, or you can give them out as a gift to someone special, because everybody needs cards, especially this time of year. So thank you all so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.